And we got a bit of a reminder this week that not everything is right, even in the mining industry when BHP closed that mine, Norwich Park. And there's a bit of question mark as to whether that's to do with unions, whether he was having a crack at the unions, or whether it was because the thing's just losing money, which is interesting in itself. Here's Marius Kloppers in Canberra talking about what was behind it.
No, the Norwich Park asset has got a very high strip ratio. That means you've got to move a lot of rocks for the coal that you get out. The oil price is $120. The Australian dollar is at 103. So they've had the unfortunate set of circumstance where floods combined with high input costs. Now, clearly, it didn't help that we lost a number of shifts in industrial action, but quite candidly, the drivers here were a different set of drivers.
But it was part of the sort of mix, the industrial action.
It did not help.
I suppose it doesn't hurt to be actually putting a shot across the union's bows while pretending not to.
It's an interesting tactic, isn't it?
They were always going to close the mine, but to just slip in the line about industrial disputation was a free PR. It was a free PR bonus point, wasn't it? You had to take it.
There's an element of reality to it, though. I mean, Norwich Park was the smallest, most marginal of their mines, and as he says, it's a high cost mine at a time, and high currency and whatever. But when they started the review of Norwich Park 7 weeks ago or so, they said to the unions, "This is a marginal mine, so please go easy." So the union straight away targeted Norwich Park as the first port of call for a new IR campaign and struck. So it's not surprising that it's not the main driver for why it's been closed. It's one of the elements, along with floods and everything else.
It's a bit self-destructive, isn't it, really? I mean, and because there is a lot of growing aggression, I guess, among companies and chief executives at the moment. We had a long lockout at Schweppes, went for 7 weeks. Well, obviously last year there was Qantas with their lockout, and then Asciano this week.
Yeah, it's the issue du jour with companies at the moment is basically this whole industrial relations. Who gets to run the company? Do the unions, and any union that seems to want to start sort of moving, encroaching in that territory, the company's coming back quite stridently and saying, get off our patch. And I think we've seen some of that with BHP this week. We certainly saw some of that with Qantas last week, and also with Asciano.
So how do you think the Asciano thing's going to go with... I mean, do you think we'll have another docks situation?
Well, Bill Shorten's intervened, presumably to avoid that. I think the interesting thing about these two current disputes, so Asciano on one hand and the Bowen Basin mines on the other, they've both been going for nearly 18 months. They're not actually about money, they're about conditions and rosters and the terms under which management can manage, in effect. So they're different to the kind of IR issues we used to have, say, in the Howard era. And you can see there's a scramble going on by the unions, everyone who's got an EBA maturing, to get in place, to take full advantage of the Fair Work Act provisions, which gives you a much broader range of things you can ask for.
Well, before it gets repealed.
Before it gets repealed.
And so we're in for a fairly unpleasant period in terms of the IR environment, as the unions try to lock in place things that they won't be able to get after the election.